And we are back in some way, shape, or form. Kind of back. Apologies for the previous stream. It kind of went out, and then life got in the way. But here we are, back again. Yeah, no real no real way to pick it up from. So, just gonna try and go off the top of my head. Like I mentioned previously, R.I.P. Virgil Abloh unfortunately passed away. Truly shocking news. Kind of, caught everybody off guard because, like the G that he was, he decided to go through this, gruesome journey privately, dealt with it behind the scenes with his family and I'm assuming close friends. But the public at large was none the wiser, judging by everyone's response on social. People were generally shocked and taken aback by everything, which I completely understand. And yeah, man, we're all kind of having to deal with this sort of loss in real time, innit? It's a big loss for culture. It's a big loss for fashion. It's a big loss for black creatives, especially. It's a big loss for the younger generation coming up. It's a big loss for those of us that was on the outskirts looking in. It's a big loss for those of us that were kind of counted out and not given chances. It was a big loss for those who felt as if we weren't good enough and we were kind of living vicariously through him in a weird way, And the other thing that really makes it really sad, or that I've been thinking about a lot, is that seriously, this man never really got his flowers. I know this is an overused term and something that you hear Noriega on things like Drink Champs say quite often, but it's true, man. We need to give people their flowers. More so in our culture, innit? More so when I say our culture, I mean black culture, in terms of we are quite reticent or hesitant to give praise in the same way. Or no, we do give praise, but it takes us a while, you know what I mean? But then you never know when that person's going to be around until we should just kind of collectively just band around people, especially when in industries that are usually not well stocked with people that look like us, right? Whenever someone gets a chance in that arena, regardless of our personal beefs and our opinions and whatnot publicly, I've always said that I think it goes the same way when it comes to cancelling and stuff. I've always felt in my heart of hearts like if I knew somebody that was, famous or somebody that was in the public eye and they did something fucked up, I would obviously chastise them privately, but in public, that's my guy. You know what I mean? We're going to go down. If you go down, I go down with you. That's how it should be. I know it isn't like that because people have families and stuff gets in the way. I get it. But in general, we should really be uplifting each other as much as we can. Because, if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? And that's the sad thing about this whole Virgil Abloh passing. I don't really think he got his credit in our culture. I don't really think he got his credit in the scenes and the little subcultures and the areas he was trying to break into. People in fashion kind of laughed at him. People in streetwear kind of ran him out. And then he only really got, I felt, the real props when he started to move into the design sort of stuff. And maybe later on when it came to, maybe the last couple of collections of at Louis Vuitton where he's really started to come into his stride, which now looking back on it, we probably came to the realization that maybe at that time he knew maybe his time was short. So he really started to go hell for leather. But he never really got his props. Never. From either of those crowds. And I think that's the real sad part of it. He leaves obviously knowing that he left an imprint. He leaves obviously knowing that he left an impact. And he's going to inspire people for, many, many generations to come, I think. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that. I think somebody in his position or somebody that looks like him being given the position that he was given was such a big deal that I think kids are going to look back on it and think, whoa, I can't believe that actually happened. And they're going to want to emulate it in the same way that when we were coming up doing our thing, even though, the Pharrell thing was a bit different, still having somebody that looked like Pharrell being into stuff that we were into was a big deal. And it kind of had an impact far, far, far reaching than he could have ever imagined. Just look at people like Tyler, the Creator. Do you know what I mean? If that guy was never around, would we even get a Tyler? So I think the same thing goes for Virgil. And, he's been able to permeate different areas of interest in real time, super, super quickly. And, yeah, man, I don't know. I just think it's, I just think it's super, super sad, isn't it? It really, really is sad. But also, as was it Infinite Ugly says here, I like to think that based on his disposition and the way that he presented, that he was very aware of the positivity he was bringing to the game. I think he was aware that he would change the world. I would hope. Yeah, no, I think he was definitely aware that he was changing the world and doing stuff, because I think just look at his actions in the last couple of years. Definitely somebody that was aware that his time was coming to an end. He was documenting everything, uploading a million stories on Instagram, sharing everything that he was doing. So for sure he was aware, that of his impact, because he was doing it in real time and kind of recording and visualizing everything. But I think from the peers, because I think it's one thing, I don't know what everyone else thinks, but bringing a creative and being somebody that is into the arts and stuff, it's a bit of a mindfuck of a career, of an interest field to get into, because the truth of the matter is the greats, they don't really, you don't really if you follow the greats for the most part, right, it's a bit conflicting, because some of the greats are very emotionally sensitive, right? They read all of the reviews, they respond negatively to critics, they lash out, all these sort of mad shit. But all that emotion and that kind of volatile temperament, it feeds into the work. But then you've got other creatives who are very much tunnel vision and just care about what they're working on and don't give a shit what people think or what they have to say. But unfortunately, in some way, shape or form, you're going to have to hear and listen to what people have to say. And then once that happens, when you start getting into the world of prestige, accolades and all that sort of stuff, it's you can't be blamed for wanting to be well received by the people that you're trying to emulate, or the people that you're trying to befriend, or the people that you're trying to surpass, whatever it may be. It's not a bad thing. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, it just takes longer for your own people to accept you in that realm. And then the love that you're trying to seek from people that don't look like you will never come, because they don't really understand where you come from. They don't get it. They don't get why it's important for you to have a certain rapper on the runway. They don't understand why that runway music is really, really crucial and might change things. They don't understand any of it, and they shouldn't. I mean, because it's not where they're from. It completely makes sense. But the whole point of why you're there is you're trying to change the game. You're trying to be that difference maker. You're trying to move the needle somewhat. And it takes time. And unfortunately, that's the one thing we don't have in it. That's a non-renewable asset there. It comes and goes. Absolute madness, man. But like I said, that's the only real kind of thing that kind of cuts me up when I think about it. I'm like, God damn, man. He tried to get into the fashion thing. He tried to get the love of them, and they just weren't having it. So he just went out and just did the opposite and just started giving love out. Do you know what I mean? Giving people collaborations, bringing people in to do this. Look at the amount of people that are involved with those behind the scenes my camera cut out again. Don't know why I keep doing that. Maybe my computer's overloading. But those things were incredible. Those little videos that he put together. Really, really incredible. And he hired a bunch of people to put those things together, man. A bunch of people. But yeah. Why do you think it's very questionable? I want to know this, L Selector. Why do you think it's questionable? It doesn't seem questionable to me. He didn't look like he was in the greatest of health towards the end of his time anyway. Some people were throwing, which is, people are obviously going to feel bad for all the jokes they were making about him. But he was clearly going through some stuff. I don't think there's anything suspicious about his death whatsoever, to be honest. I just think it's a crying shame, and I think we've lost an absolute titan. That's what I think. We've lost somebody that, had a lot more to give. Definitely somebody that could have gone a lot further and impacted people way more. But, I always say, or I always think, it's far better that you get a short time and you do loads of things as opposed to a long time and you do nothing, innit? So at least in that short period of time that he was on this earth, he was able to get out as much as he could, and he did, innit? And I think that's probably going to be his lasting legacy. That's going to be something that I definitely take on in the stuff that I do. Definitely something that I take on in the stuff that I do. Do you know what I mean? Just try and live every life like it's your not live every day like it's your last, but just try it. Especially in the creative world, it's so difficult because everyone's kind of trying to save face and try and look cool and shit. But that was one of his superpowers as well. Do you know what I mean? Just not looking cool. He didn't really give a shit about looking cool. Obviously he was, but in just terms of like, the consistent posting on social media every single day, the uploading of every single idea, sharing the design process behind the scenes, all of that sort of stuff was really, really, really cool. I don't know, man. It's a bit mad, isn't it? It's a bit mad. I gotta be honest. It's a bit mad. It's a bit mad. Not gonna lie. It's a bit mad. But I think this is a kind of natural thing that happens, isn't it? Usually, you get older, and then unfortunately, your heroes, your friends, people that you know, or people that you met in passing, they all just end up one by one, innit, leaving your life in one way or the other. Whether it's them leaving and saying they don't want to be your friend anymore, or them leaving because it's their time to go and shit. It always tends to happen that way. That's probably another kind of indication that you're ascending in years and shit, and it's not gonna go backwards. Because that usually didn't happen when you were younger. When you were younger and you heard somebody passed away or whatever that was the same age as you, you couldn't even wrap your head around it. It didn't even make sense. And usually you just suppress it and try to move on. But then the older you get, you start to realize, I'm no different to these guys. You know what I mean? We all kind of have the same lifestyle. We all do the same things. We're interested in similar stuff. And if it can happen to him, it can happen to you. You sort of have those kind of macabre feelings. But, those things are probably not the most constructive things to think about. But just stuff that's going through my head overall. Wanting to share all that in it. But again, these streams are probably not the best things to do in the heat or in the aftermath of all this stuff, as it's still not being still kind of haven't processed everything about it. But I don't know, man. I don't know. What can you say? And again, a post on Hypebeast, innit? The one place that was incredibly critical of the work that he did, and the one place that he kind of, in one word, the other, kept coming back to and giving work, inspiring, providing a lot of these. I bet a lot of these people on the comments of Hypebeast that were ripping into him career-wise and his work, and he did. He provided them with the opportunity to resell a lot of his shoes that he made and be able to put themselves through college, pay for a holiday, loads of mad stuff. Do you know what I mean? They were able to do off the back of the the shoes that he did. So it must be such a weird situation to be in life, innit? I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about this. I really don't, mate. Really have no real kind of... I had loads of real things planned in my head that I wanted to say. But then once you start talking about it, you're like... There's no words that you can actually say that's going to make this any... That's going to make it make any more sense than it does or doesn't. Yeah. Madness. Absolute madness. I don't know what to say, brother. What is chat saying? And Lost said here, he was memed a lot amongst the UK techno crowd, unfortunately. Those are swear they're trying to be more inclusive and all, but it's just their exception. Nah, man. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying now about people. That's what I'm saying about we have to just protect each other, innit? And I don't even mean like a black and white thing. I just mean from scenes and whatnot. We have to protect each other because he was one of ours. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he was one of ours. Like, the fact that he got that Louis Vuitton job was legitimately a win for all of us. Like, all of us that were on forums, that were out there buying clothes, queuing up for trainers and shit, that was a win for us. That basically showed us that if we wanted to and we put our mind to it, we could achieve whatever we wanted to in this thing. You know what I mean? We could do it because it basically showed that our taste level, our interest, our hobbies, our skill set could also be applicable in that field. Because there was a time back in the day in streetwear where like cut and sew was a big deal. If you made your own jeans, that was a big deal. If you actually pattern cutted your own hoodie, that was a big deal. You didn't actually buy it as a blank. You didn't go to one of those what's that place in Canada? There's that shop that everyone used to get all their sweats from that was similar to like Supreme. You didn't go to those kind of stores, right? You just did all your stuff actually like from the ground up. You built it from scratch, and I used to call that cut and sew. That was like before everyone started to wanting to get into the fashion thing. Right, it was a big deal, and people would look at you like, wow, man, this brand is making their own flannels. And for some reason, people thought that was a ceiling. They were like, no, that's it, that's a ceiling. Just making your own chore jackets, making your own denim, making your own bags, making your own jeans, putting your hoodie. I mean, that's what people thought. And then Virgil had to be the one to break that seal. And again, he was the one that broke it, and the one I thought that was the best to break it, because everybody agreed that maybe he wasn't the most, he didn't have the most finesse in terms of the stuff that he was putting out. Maybe it was more quantity over quality, but he proved that you could do it. You could go from making t-shirts and printing stuff on it like everyone else was printing stuff on it, doing iron presses and transfers and whatnot, doing embroidery, this, whatever everyone else was doing. We were all doing the same thing. We all had the same ideas. We were all in bars and stuff, thinking about brands that we were going to make and all this malarkey. And he actually went out and did it, put his money where his mouth is, and did it. And then that little thing, grew into this situation that he was in before he left. Louis Vuitton, Off-White doing bits, New Guards Group, helping his friend do this, putting on mad shows, putting people on runways that would never be on runways prior to this, promoting this music. Just before he passed, he did some mad thing. I think, what was that show he did on radio, where he had like a week full of like radio programming, where he invited mad people. It felt like if you just jumped in his DMs in the right time, you could also be in Paris, doing a live stream talking about whatever socioeconomic, social justice issue that's going on in your area. You could just talk about it on the radio with him. Do you know what I mean? He provided people with so much opportunity, so much, in spite of people shitting on him. That's the thing as well. You have to also think the guy had a big heart. People were shitting on him, laughing at what he does, saying he's shit, saying that, saying this, and he still tried to kept giving back. People would shame him, say this about that, he didn't do this right, he didn't do this right, publicly trying to cancel him for this, for that. And it's like, dude, he's the only one that looks like us that's out there doing it at that level, at that time. Do you know what I mean? Like working for those powers that be, as in LVMH group, the demands that they put on you, industry pushing you again and again and again. You bring out one okay collection, okay, do it twice, do it 3 times, do it 4 times, do it 5 times. Stop mucking around. Which is why I say we got to protect each other. I'm all right with people from the outside taking the piss. Cool. Let's leave if the UK techno lot want to take the piss out of him, all right, no worries. It's a little bit rich coming from them lot, because there's a lot of people within their own little scene that they have to look at and kind of run the rule over. But I get it. It's a scene. It's a subculture. It's going to be cliquey. It's going to be hard to get to. I understand it, but I'm just talking about people that are actually from where he was from, that came from the same background, were into the same things. Those are the ones that should be protected him, because he couldn't get the love outside of that. He wasn't going to get the love from Vogue, even though Vogue have put up a post obviously mourning his death, but though that wasn't a place that was going to give him favourable coverage. He wasn't going to get favourable coverage from some of the fashion snobs on Twitter and whatnot, who aren't really familiar with him and just known him for what they see on the fashion side of things. So it was down to us within whatever scene that we call ourselves in to kind of hold him down somewhat, and we didn't, I don't think. And we didn't give him his flowers either while he was here. I know he got the love and the recognition and the resale and the selling of this, but just the idea of like knowing, how you really impacted people legitimately. Did he know that? I don't know. Hope he did. I really do. But that's the only bittersweet moment about this. And again, think of his family, man. Think of his family. They're going through this mad situation privately, but then publicly they have to share him essentially with the world. They can't just like be selfish and keep him to themselves, you know what I mean, and enjoy every moment that they have that's precious with him. They have to share him with the world. They have to allow him to travel around, do everything he's doing, just continue as per normal, just so just to keep that machine going, all the while knowing that tomorrow could be his last day. You know what I mean? Imagine how that feels. I can only imagine how that feels for that family, man. That's why my thoughts and prayers go out to them a lot, because he had bare business. That's the thing though, and again, there's a bittersweet thing about all of this sort of stuff. You just start realizing like you just gotta just do your thing, innit? Because think of the visual, man. You have bare people around you, right? Mad people at your shows. You launch shoes and stuff. Everyone's there. Everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone's pulling at your shirt. Everyone's asking for this, asking for that, right? Just give. Trying to extract as much as they can. You're giving out as much as you can. And in the moment of your passing, you're just there, surrounded by only a small number of people, really. Sounds like by the sounds of the statement, just his close family and friends, and that was it. I mean, well, his close family members, that was it at all. We didn't hear anything else. And yeah, man, I don't know what to say, innit? I really don't, man. Doesn't make sense. It's sad. It's really bittersweet. The only thing that can bring me some level of comfort with all this is like in all bits of, you know, when it comes to the arts and all that, and you have the opportunity to kind of immortalize yourself through your work. The more prolific you are, the better it is, right? In that regard, because people have many things that they can kind of look back on and see, oh, wow, man, he or she really impacted culture. He or she, I remember this. I mean, you can kind of put a timestamp on that sort of stuff. So that's definitely should be one of those things you need to just kind of it's definitely one of those things you need to kind of keep in mind, innit? If you are doing something creative out there, or not even creative, man. Fuck all that. Just living life in general. Just, you know, whatever is the good life to you. I think we've all kind of realized it too during COVID, innit? I know I have. That maybe all those things that I was kind of longing for prior to lockdown, it's not really that important, because at the end of the day, when we were all locked inside our homes and our flats and our bedrooms and our basements, wherever we live, and our parks, our tents, it doesn't matter. We were all longing for that just tiny bit of physical contact. We were longing for a coffee with a friend, a cocktail, share a sandwich. That's what we were longing for. We didn't have any lofty ambitions. We weren't thinking of anything. Maybe we were just thinking, no, maybe I can go to Bristol, I can go to Brighton for the weekend. That was it. We weren't thinking of anything crazy. We just wanted the good life to us, or just being able to share a meal with some friends, hug your mum, hug your granddad. You know what I mean? That's what you wanted. But then, you know, you get back into this thing called life, you enter the rat race again, and then, you know, the pause of society keep telling you to want this, want that, keep going, when in actuality, the tiny things are the ones that matter. And if you are in the arts, or if you are just living life in general, try and live, you know, try and just enjoy the things that you enjoy, and just do away with everything else, because you only get one shot at it. You really do only get one shot at it, man. And yeah, don't know, man. It's not obviously nice to see all the people with no shame online, don't get me wrong. It's kind of gross to see people posting screenshots of their messages, private ones with the guy. You know what I mean? It's just like, allow it. It's not nice to see people who, again, were laughing at him behind his back now posting flipping eulogies about he was amazing. Allow it. Keep the same energy. It's just not nice, innit? But that's the one thing you can't control when you're gone, innit? The people that try and turn up to your funeral and act like they were your friends. It's just absolute scumbags, man. The worst of the worst. But again, I don't expect nothing better from these fashion people, innit? They're all pieces of shit when it comes to that sort of stuff, innit? Morals, ethics, you know, grace, decency. They don't have it. It doesn't exist. They live in a world where essentially they are dictated by their shallow and materialistic desires, innit? So why would they have any more? Why would they have humanity? You know what I mean? Why would they have any kind of inkling or iota of a soul that would make them think, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be posting up the direct message I had with him where he was praising my work. So somebody passes and uses opportunity to fucking give yourself a fucking compliment. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing? Give your head a wobble. Who raised these people, man? Did these people have so many people come from like affluent families, right? They've grown up, went to the best schools and shit, and they don't even have common decency. Doesn't exist. It's not a thing. But yet when we come in the thing, you know what I mean? When we're the ones that come in, we're the ragamuffins. We're the ones that need security to follow us around stores and whatnot. But then here you are posting fucking screenshots of a guy that isn't even flipping in the ground yet, bro. You're posting screenshots of him, of messages directly, like, you know what I mean, like focusing on bits where he's giving you compliments. Like, do yourself a favor, man. Jog on, you absolute numpty. People are awful, man. Awful. Like, but you know, maybe it's grief, and everyone's got their own way of kind of processing those things, and so maybe I'm being too harsh, and you know, everyone's got their way of handling situations. But I don't know, man. If that's me, don't be posting none of my things. I swear to God. And if I haven't spoken to you, you know, prior to the passing as well, don't mention nothing. Just keep it to yourself. Just keep it moving. You know what I mean? Say it in your head, RIP, and keep it moving. Don't be posting anything. Don't pretend like we were mates, because we weren't. Like, allow it. because when people are around, no one's willing to give them their flowers and they pass, and suddenly everyone turns into fucking memorial. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh in the situation, and it's still raw, and everyone's dealing with it how they want to deal with it. And us millennials and even the younger kids, the Gen Zs and that, we don't really have a good way of processing emotion. It feels like, I think all this kind of we've been overexposed to really horrendous things on the internet. It's kind of made us numb, or it's kind of fucked up our equilibrium when it comes to dealing with really traumatic real life situations. We don't really know how to kind of process it, which is probably why we create all these weird parasocial relationships with people we don't really know. I don't know, maybe that's part of it, I don't know. But regardless, man, terrible situation. Again, can't imagine what his family and friends are going through right now, especially the ones I didn't know that were close to him. Do you know what I mean? You're having to go through the grief in real time with everyone else. You kind of wanted to have your own, selfishly, your own little private time to grief with the close family and friends before everyone else finds out, but you're doing it all in real time. It's just, yeah, man, it's a mad way to end the year, innit? Especially off the back of all this, the advancements with this flipping Omicron variant of the virus. Like, life is already looking like it's going to be grinding to a halt once again. And in this, it's just, I don't know, man. What can you say, innit? What can you say? What can you say to make it make sense? Not really much. I'm attempting to, but I don't think I am making much sense of this little ramble. I really don't. No real way to kind of process all of it. But again, like I said, the greatest thing he could have ever done in his time here was just to have gotten that one opportunity. However people thought it was undeserving, or should have somebody, whatever, he used that opportunity to just hold the door ajar. He was that guy, where you go to a cinema and someone opens the fire exit and lets people through. Some people do that thing, and then another guy will stand up and close it, like, what are you doing? Don't leave the door open. But then there's another dude that's like, man, sit down, and you hold it longer. Do you know what I mean? And let a couple more people in, and then you pretend, yeah, that's my sister, just to kind of get them in through the door. That's what basically Virgil did, and he did it to everybody and everybody. Who didn't matter who you were. Do you know what I mean? Young, small. Small in like following and shit. He didn't care. You know what I mean? If you had a hunger, if you were on it, if you caught him at the right time, you also could have your life changing and flipping instant. You know what I mean? People are posting mad stories of them, like, DMing him randomly when they were like 15 and shit, and him giving them a chance, doing this, doing that, and then that little spark, that little chance was what kind of snowballed into an entire career. That's all you need, and he did that. Again, and he didn't need to do that, especially, again, considering the amount of scrutiny he got from the very same people you were trying to help. But he did, because he had a big heart and he wanted to give back. And I think that's going to be one of his greatest long-lasting legacies, because what's going to go on now is that if you're in a position of any kind of influence, of any kind of power, not even power, forget power. If you're in any kind of position of any sort of if you're in a position that people want, a very desirable position, a very coveted position, no one's going to have it if you're a cunt and you don't give back. No one's going to have it if you're not kind of holding the door ajar and letting people through. No one's going to have it if you don't bring people in. No one's going to have it if you don't, or whatever the thing cut off again. I'm getting ended at here because I think that it's overloading. But yeah, no one's going to accept it. That's the one thing he's done. He set the template. He's basically shown people that, look, this is what you need to do. This is what is necessary in order to kind of bring us forward. And now that he's laid that kind of blueprint, so hopefully people are going to follow suit and do the same thing, or do it in their own way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. As Faction said, he put on Samuel Ross. Just gave, again, those people that he gave opportunities to have done the same thing in their own thing. Look at the amount of people that Samuel Ross has helped out too. Look at the amount of people that he's employed, the amount of people that he's changed their lives, the amount of kids that he's inspired through the clothes that he makes. Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff, it's a kind of trickle down effect, and that's all you need. You just need one person to do it. But the generation before that didn't, maybe for their own reasons, and then everyone kind of decided to kind of, instead of just copying and just repeating the mistakes of our forefathers, they decided, nah, let's break that chain. Let's do things a bit differently. And you know, you can't hate on that, man. You really can't. So now going forward, you know, if you have some bullshit position and you're acting like a big dog, no one's gonna have it, because this guy was the biggest dog, or still is the biggest dog. He had the biggest job, he had the most coveted job, he had all the great collaborations, and he still helped people. So if you and your little, you know, with your little kind of freelancing gig that you got for ID, and you're acting as if like you owned a magazine, if you're going on like a cunt, no one's gonna have it. Do you know what I mean? No one's gonna have it. If your design studio is flipping just one person and you're acting as if like you know, you're Seymour Power out here, no one's gonna have it. You know what I mean? And no one's gonna have it. You're gonna have to just act the same as he has, because he's laid the groundwork. He showed you what the blueprint is. And if anything, let's look at it this way: the more charitable he was towards the end, you know, or towards the kind of as he started to kind of ascend towards through the kind of streetwear thing and into the fashion world, it's no surprise the more charitable he became, the more opportunities that he got. Is it any surprise that the more opportunities that he got and he started to give people chances, suddenly he started to also grow? He started to also be kind of overloaded with opportunities and collabs and deals. Just imagine. I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, for whatever reason, looks like my computer's overloading. I don't know why. Maybe I've got too many tabs open and whatnot. I don't know. Maybe it's the tabs. Maybe it's the things. Who actually knows? Let's see. Oof. Yeah, maybe it is the tabs. It could be the tabs. Let's see if I can close this. But yeah, I'm gonna end this anyway, man. I don't want to keep rabbiting on about stuff. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing more I can really add to this to make it make any sense, really. It's an incredibly sad situation. So yeah, that was it, man. R.I.P. Virgil Abloh, innit? Gone but never forgotten. And your memory will live on. Your memory will live on.